In the previous session, I talked about how the Foundations of Mindfulness is divided into 4 broad sections, each with different kinds of mindfulness practices that we can try. And the first section is mindfulness of the body, divided into 6 parts. So this session will begin with the first of the practices, which is mindfulness of breathing. In this practice, the instruction is to connect with your breathing. It doesn't give detail on how to do that. So my suggestion is you want to find however you connect with and feel your breathing the easiest. Some teachers really emphasize or even insist that you feel your breathing in a particular place in your body. For example, at the area of the nose, or others it might be the body breathing with the movement in the belly, or it might be your torso or chest moving. My suggestion is you want to find whatever works best for you. It really doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. It's how you connect with the experience of the body breathing the easiest. And then it gives 4 steps or 4 stages. It says when you're breathing in and out a short breath, you know you're breathing out in and out short. When you're breathing in and out long, this is the second step, you know you're breathing in and out long breaths. I'm paraphrasing the exact language. The third step changes the language. Rather than saying you know, now it says you train by experiencing the whole body as you're breathing. And then the fourth step is you train tranquilizing the whole body. Okay, so you know a short breath. Second, you know in and out when it's a long breath. Third step, you train experiencing the whole body. And the fourth is you train tranquilizing the whole body. So how are we to work with this? Well, there's a range of ways to do this. Some people, if you want to take this instruction quite literally, then they will actually purposely breathe short breaths and paying attention that it's a short breath and then breathe in and out knowing it's a long breath. You can try that if you want. My recommendation is, this is fine if you want to do that. I would recommend to not do that. I think what it's really asking us to do, inviting us to do, is stay connected with the breath, so you're just with whatever kind of breath you're having. You're just mindfully staying with it. You don't have to necessarily know whether it's long or short. That's a lot of extra mental activity. I think it's wanting us to stay connected is what these first 2 steps are talking about. The third step about experiencing the whole body, at some point, well, actually, let me pause here for a moment. This practice already, what it's given us, can be used to emphasize the samadhi side of the practice or the just pure mindfulness side of the practice. If we just stay with that simple practice of mindfulness of breathing, those first 2 steps, coming back to that over and over, the mind, any of you who are experienced meditators know the mind will come to more calm, it'll settle more steady. The samadhi, the concentration is deepening. And you can just stay with that. What you may find is as the mind settles more, on its own, the awareness can then expand out, and rather than being more narrowly focused at a particular place in the body to feel the breath, it actually can, your awareness kind of expands and fills the whole body. The sutta says you train, which means you're doing it on purpose, consciously. So that is one way you can approach it. At some point, as you feel like you're settling enough, and you have to experiment when you think the right time is. What happens then if you allow the awareness of your whole body? The breathing will still be there, but maybe contained within the experience of your whole body. And but it's a broader awareness, and you can play with that and experiment, see if that works for you. It may work for a lot of people. For that to happen, we need to get the samadhi stronger. for it to really work. So you have to check and see for yourself. And again, if you just stay with the breath, for many people on its own, that awareness comes. So there's a few different flavors there. Then similarly for tranquilizing the whole body, you can use your breathing then as your awareness is expanded to, with the breathing, it's a tranquilizing of the body. That can also just happen on its own by virtue of just staying with the breath, and then the body becomes more tranquilized. You probably notice that there's a couple of different flavors or styles of the way I'm presenting how to work so far. I call it prescriptive and descriptive. Prescriptive is prescribing what to do. You do the first step, short breaths, knowing in and out. You do the second second step, long breaths. You do, as a practice, the third step of experiencing the whole body like that. A second way that it's often taught and practiced is it's more descriptive. It's describing the progression of what can happen just by staying with the breath in a very simple way, really starting with those first two, and then just let that be the whole practice and see how it evolves on its own. So both of these are common ways that it's understood and taught and put into practice. So you can try either one for yourself and see what you think works best. So that's already, we're seeing there's different flavors or different styles of how we work with this simple practice of mindfulness of breathing. Then the text is giving us the refrain or that I mentioned in the first introductory session. It says, doing those 4 steps of mindfulness of breathing, this is how you're mindful of the body. It says the mindful of the body as a body. What that means is it's just direct experiential. It's not conceptual. And so then it says you can, in this way, experience the body, be mindful of the body internally. You're feeling it from the inside, what it's like for the body to breathe, to expand your awareness of the whole body, to tranquilize the body. Then it says, or you can experience mindfully the body externally. This can be a little confusing for people. There are a range of ways. I did some research and looked up every way I can find that various teachers discussed experiencing it externally. What does that mean? One is people say, well, it means to actually view your body externally while you're doing this. So that feels a little contrived to me, but fine, try that. It could mean, some people say it means looking at the bodies of others. Again, I feel that's a little contrived, but you could try that. But another way that some people find, that I find does relate very experientially, is the inner experience of your body, so that's experiencing it internally, can shift, and it can actually come to you. Actually, the awareness goes kind of on the outside of your body and become very aware of just the form, the outer form of your body. It can become feeling like, especially when the samadhi is stronger, tingling, vibration, energy. It can feel like the solidity of the body gets a little, experientially, it becomes a little less and more malleable, and you feel more porous or connected between yourself and the external world. It's really quite palpable, and it's kind of a somatic, embodied experience when that happens. So you can play with that all you want, but you don't have to do that, because it says internally or externally, or both internally and externally. So you can try it out, or a simple way to, if you want to use that instruction, is to just notice how it is. You don't have to make it be anything, but just how is it for me as you're being with it? And is it feel more internal, external? Don't stir your mind up about that. Keep it simple, but you can play with it if you want to. But then the instruction goes on. You can do that, or it offers another way. So just keep saying or, not and. So there's choice points. Or you can purposely notice and pay attention to the changing nature of your of the body breathing. They use the term the rising and the passing away. So it means that it's changing. And so you can make a point. There's the experience itself. And there's the fact that it is changing. You can be aware and make a point to look for, and your main emphasis is paying attention to the change happening. So that's another way you can work as more of an insight kind of a practice. And then it says, or just bringing bare mindfulness, meaning you just bare mindfulness to the experience of your body breathing. So you have all these different choice points. And then it ends by saying, in this way you rest, abide, independent, not clinging to anything in the world. So this is an interesting question on, like, what are the benefits of doing this? Of course, we've mentioned some: steadying the mind. That's on the samadhi side. Having insights into things. We've already been talking about some of that. For example, impermanence and change. Also, the breath is a great teacher. It's teaching us to be mindful about something, to be present with something. And of course, there may be many other things going on when we're just practicing this seemingly simple practice of mindfulness of breathing. There can be a lot there. So all of those are benefits. But it's also teaching us, for all the times difficulties and suffering, when we can't concentrate, it's hard to be present. Other experiences are coming up in the body and the mind that are making it hard. We'll talk as we move through the foundations of mindfulness. There's other tools for working with all these other experiences. But sometimes when we bring back, remember that it's really pointing us to abiding independent, not clinging to anything, then when our suffering arises, that becomes our teacher. And we'll say more about that when we get into some of the other practices of learning to let go, be present, learning to let things be, growing our capacity to allow and be with and not cling around a wider and wider range of experiences. So there's quite a range of ways we can work even with this simple practice of breathing. So to end this session, I just want to encourage you not to overthink all of this, and try to remember all of the steps, reflect on it, just see which of these flavors or ways of approaching work you're drawn to the best. For many people, it may be just something very simple. Just connect with your body breathing and leave it as simple as that, and see how that might develop and grow for you.